In January each year, we get together and talk about our state of the schools. And what this is a measure of how well we're doing meeting our mission and vision. And of course, our mission and vision is all about students reaching their full potential. That's what it's about. And does everything we do go back to that? And are we being successful? We're looking at where we are with our current goals, but even now, we are beginning to work on our goals for 12-13. We'll still have those same 4 guiding principles. They won't change. They're the bedrock of our work. First of all and foremost is improving student achievement. Second, building leadership capacity. The third is, of course, efficiency and effectiveness, making sure we're using our money and our resources to the greatest extent. And the last is engaging our stakeholders, making sure we have a two-way communication with our entire community. So that's what we're doing right now, is trying to take that measure of how well we're doing with our guiding principles and with our specific work for this year. One good thing we have in our district here and have for several years is a very, very well documented strategic planning process that takes an entire year to go through. So when we're working on our goals every year, we have a way to plan for it where we involve a lot of people. Our district is always focused on continuous improvement. Obviously, instruction is our main focus. But through the ISO 9001 certification process, we're also paying attention to, perhaps more importantly, the non-instructional areas as well. Because the more efficient and the more effective we can be in non-instructional areas, the more money can be put into instruction. Hopefully through this state of the schools, people are going to be able to see the evidence of how well we're doing, but also look at some of the areas that perhaps we need to work harder on and find other ways to get the work done. Again, it gets all back to how we're doing with our mission and our vision. Are we meeting the needs of all of our students? A lot of the work we're doing is not just a one-year shot. We have to spend multiple years on it. But also we're listening to our stakeholder groups and we're listening to our principals. Just last month we sat down with our principals and listened to everything they had to say about how we reach our students' potential the best. And a lot of that will be incorporated in our new goals for next year. We're already talking about issues like special education. Our population is growing very fast. Our preschool population in special ed has grown 38% in 1 year. And we're seeing an explosion in the need for improved and larger special education programs.
The heart of intervention is that you meet a student at their current level of performance and you move them forward. It's essential that you bridge that gap between their current level of performance and their expected level of performance. And that's what these interventions are in place to do. What Read 180 is designed to do is take an emerging reader that's 2 to 3 grade levels below their peers, but they know how to read, they know how to decode, and to make them more fluent. So it's taught in a 90-minute block, and there's a whole group section of the teaching, and then there are 3 other sections that are very individualized based on their performance. It's highly monitored, it's certainly based on research, and when applied with fidelity, you can expect more than a year's growth from a child when they're in Read 180, and we push for even more than that. So when you give a child an opportunity to succeed at something that they haven't been successful at before, then they start believing that they can do this. And when you're dealing with kids that are in the middle school and the high school that have had difficulty reading, if you can open up that window for success for them, you've given them a real gift. And then they can take that and fly.
I think our greatest challenge right now is to make certain that we have a very strong Common Core standards in our school system implemented with a curriculum that meets those needs. In 2014, the assessments are going to change. And we've got to be ready for that, and it's not going to happen overnight. That's why we're working hard. We have a tremendously strong professional development program to train teachers on Common Core. We're going to be working very hard to make sure teachers have just-in-time training, the kind of training they need right before instruction to make sure that they're able to implement Common Core successfully. And I believe we will be successful because we're starting early enough, we're taking it seriously, and we're going to do something like we always do, and that's implement with fidelity. We don't just do a surface implementation of anything. That's why it's important that you focus. You've got to spend the time to make sure it's done right.
The Common Core gives teachers time to teach to a degree where children really understand what the content of the course or the study is in English language arts and math. And that's what teachers have been asking for a long time. In addition, we're a transient group here. We have lots of folks coming in and out, and that's wonderful. But in the past, they might come from another state and not have studied the same curriculum that we were teaching. But now there are 46 states in the union that if they come from those states, then they've studied the same curriculum that we have here. And for our parents who move some, that's just a huge plus. So this year, kindergarten, first grade, and second grade have implemented Common Core, not perfectly, but at a beginner's level with their students. And then we will move into the gaps, where the gaps are in the curriculum, if there are any, where things have been moved from one grade level to another next year. And we'll also be doing some units of study that are all Common Core next year. But remember, we're still being the high-stakes testing in the course, and the TCAP are all still on the Tennessee Diploma Project, so we can't drop that. So we've got to do this dual thing for a while, and in the fall each year we'll add another piece and another piece until finally in 2014, or towards the end really of 2013-14, we've gone totally over to the Common Core.
I think overall, we've done more to personalize education in this system over the last few years. And this year, the greatest example of that is our STEM initiative. We have a wonderful new STEM academy that's meeting the needs of students who might not otherwise have had this opportunity. But more importantly than that, we're reaching out, and we have a STEM initiative in every one of our schools now. And it's not a surface initiative, it's a deep initiative that's teaching kids how to think. It's not about turning kids into scientists or mathematicians as much as it is teaching kids how to think through problems and solve them and create new solutions to the problems of the future. That's what our STEM initiative is about, preparing all of our students for whatever they're interested in to be better solvers of problems.
This year was our first year to expand the training, and then the opportunity for all teachers in specific grade levels to use the practices of STEM to increase the understanding of their student science and math. And after successful training in the summer, we do have implementation of STEM integration in all of our schools. Integration of the subject matter is challenging no matter whether we're in elementary, middle, or high. Teachers have for years taught isolated lessons in science and math and never really thought about engineering or technology, so we're asking them to do some pretty complicated things. It's a high level of teaching as it is a high level of learning. So one of the first skills we've had to build is the teacher's ability to talk with each other and to work together to solve a problem. When STEM is integrated successfully and we have begun to build students' understanding of how they can use their knowledge and their thinking skills, we think we will see an increase in the number of students who score well on the ACT as juniors and seniors, on PLAN as a 10th grader, and then on the Explore as the 8th grade.
We've begun work on balanced assessments, which is a way of making certain that the tests and assessments that we have for students are understood by those students, and that they have real meaning, and that students can actually evaluate their own work. That's part of a balanced assessment. But how we develop our assessments, they've got to be more than just TCAP scores and state tests. We want to develop assessments for our students that have meaning and actually help students self-evaluate and understand their own work in ways that are important to them to grow and to develop. Our district has always done a very good job of having principals go into the buildings, work with teachers, do walkthroughs, and really know what's going on in their classrooms. The new state teacher evaluation system, we're working with that to try to make that work for us. It's certainly a big change for all of our teachers. It's a big change for our administrators. It's taking a lot of their time. But we're dedicated to making sure it meets our needs. And like any change that comes from somewhere else, the important thing is that you adapt it and make it work for you. We have great teachers and great principals in our school system, but it's getting difficult every day to find new teachers to replace those who are retiring. Selection and recruitment have got to be key. Certainly evaluation and mentoring of teachers is important, but nothing's more important for us right now than selection of quality teachers and recruiting teachers to our school system, as well as administrators. We've reorganized our Human Resources Department to emphasize that. We now have a Director of Educator Quality whose sole mission is to make sure we have a top-notch teacher in every classroom and the best leaders of our teachers in our schools as possible. It's a big job, and it's not a job that happens overnight. It's something we've got to continually work on and continually to find new tools to help us select better teachers and find a way to reach out to people all over the country so that we get the very best. Improving our textbook delivery and accountability system is another way that we have found to address efficiency and effectiveness. Implementing a new textbook ordering system has accomplished this goal by getting books to classrooms faster and more accurately. We have millions of tax dollars invested in textbooks, and this new process provides a much improved and simplified accountability system. Making sure that we get the most for our money is very important. One way we can do that is have very accurate inventories. Our child nutrition system is working on an automated system that will greatly improve knowing what we've got and be able to use our resources much better in that arena. We do a great job with using our resources in child nutrition now, but this will even increase that.
The ASE certification for our vehicle maintenance shop is administered by the National Institute for Automotive Service Excellence. It's a self-study program that allows the mechanics to demonstrate their competence and efficiency to themselves, to us, to this organization, and most importantly to the public that we serve, so that the public would have a high level of confidence in the quality of the maintenance services that are being administered to the school buses that carry their children to and from school. The data is absolutely clear that the safest mode of transportation for a child to get to and from school is on the school bus. And so for whatever reason, whatever personal reason some parents choose not to use the school bus, we want to eliminate any concern that the quality of the maintenance that is being serviced on the vehicles, we wanted to try and remove that from the public's concern. We weren't able to identify any districts in Middle Tennessee that are ASE certified, so we're excited about that. We are an ASE certified vehicle maintenance facility, and we're very proud of that.
The use of data has become increasingly important for our teachers. Our teachers and principals use data every day to inform their instruction. We now have a system called Test Drive that helps teachers better monitor their students' progress as far as assessments. And we've been very successful with that because we built this program ourselves. It came out of our technology division, and it's tailor-made to the needs of our district, to a district that's really using data to the fullest extent. We have to have a common language around leadership in our school system, where when we talk about leadership skills, everybody knows what we're talking about. And using balanced leadership and our training through McCrell has really helped our principals understand a language about leadership that they can all share. They all can look at their various leadership capacities and improve them. They're all working on that. Each one has a different set of improvement strategies for their own leadership. And we believe this is really making a difference in how they lead their teachers and their students in their building.
Well, balanced leadership is an approach to actually teaching the art and science of leadership inside of a training, and then doing a lot of applications of the training inside of the principals and other people that we're training inside of their current work. When you build leadership capacity and you do it at all different levels, people begin to understand what their role is. And understand at a different depth of what their role is. And because we're all leaders in some capacity in one form or another, all the way down from the superintendent to the principals and to the teachers in the classrooms to the students, all of them have some type of leadership building capacity and some type of leadership responsibility. You see principals who are much more skilled at what they're doing. You see principals who can look at data, interpret data, and also embed it with practices that are going on inside their school or practices that need to be embedded inside their school.
Our district has a long history of not just having stakeholder groups just to say we have them. We actually pay very close attention to what they say. And by having these monthly meetings where we discuss the various issues that are going on in our school district, and we've done this every month for years with our teachers, our students, diversity groups, various groups, our business leaders. We bring all kinds of groups together to make sure that we're hearing what they have to say, because this is their school system, and to listen to them and react to their concerns is very, very important. Often we aren't correct in knowing what information is out there, and by having these stakeholder groups come together, we find out things. We recently found out a lot of parents were confused about our career technical education programs, how their students can get in those programs, and what we had offered. So we were able to do that through our Focus TV. We created a series of videos on our CTE programs. We brought people in to talk to parents about some of the programs we have available and how they can get in those programs. And we allowed parents to ask questions and get their answers, and they take those answers back to all the parents in their schools. Same for our guidance counseling program. How does that work? We found out that by asking our parents, what do you need to know? It makes a big difference in how your communication works.
Leadership CMCSS, it was a great opportunity, a great learning opportunity for me to go into the classroom, go into the teachers' planning areas, go into the maintenance shop and see what they've got going in, just the overall workings of the school system. And like I said, for me as a county commissioner, elected official who votes on the budget, it's great information to take back to the commission. It's also great information to take back to constituents who may have questions about the school system. But there again, also as a father of two in the school system and the husband of a teacher in the school system, it helps throughout for me. You go on miniature field trips, I guess I'd say, where you get on the bus and travel. One highlight of mine was watching Joe Pitts park the bus. I really hope that more, especially county commissioners, will get involved in this. Because come budget time, a lot of the questions they may have about the budget, the answers, I mean, the problems can be alleviated here.
With our mission being reaching everyone's full potential, you cannot forget our special education population. It's a very important population. We want them to do the very best they can. We have one of the fastest growing special ed populations in the state of Tennessee. We have got to develop new programs. We've got to have more training for our classroom teachers in making sure they know how to meet the needs of students, because working with special education students is not something that's in isolation. It requires everyone working together. So we're never going to be finished. This is a work that's going to continue. And the resources we need to make sure those students meet their potential is very, very critical. Resources are getting smaller, while at the same time our population is growing. That's an issue that we're going to be dealing with next year.
We had a 38% increase in our preschool special education population, or an additional 113 students. In our kindergarten through 12th grade special education population, we had a 16% increase, or 462 additional students. This is the fastest growth rate in the state. It speaks very well for Clarksville. We welcome everybody, and it's wonderful to know that people want to move here, but it is presenting quite a challenge with us and with our resources, trying to find the additional teachers, educational assistants, our building capacity, and the supplies, materials, and instructional equipment that are needed for these additional classrooms. The greatest growth is with students with autism, multiple disabilities, developmental delays, and health impairments, which includes ADD and ADHD. And many times these students require extensive related services, such as occupational therapy, physical therapy, orientation and mobility training, speech and language, assistive technology, and each of these services has a huge impact on our budget and on the personnel. We cover starting at age 3 and going all the way up until a student turns 22. The federal allocation that the state received this year was cut, so the state in turn had to cut the allocation for every school district. In addition to that, in December, the federal allocation was cut again, and so we had to amend our budget downward. And this is the first time that I've known of budget has been cut in mid-year. And on top of that, we've heard that next year's funding is going to be cut again. So we're having to educate more students with more disabilities with less funding.
We've been very fortunate in this district to have the support of our county commission when it comes to building schools. We've opened a number of buildings over the years. We're very excited about the renovation at Northwest High School. The plans for that are going to be incredible, and we're going to turn that into a real 21st century learning community. Our work at Montgomery Central is probably the most unique renovation I've ever seen of a school. We're real excited about that. And we're continuing to build elementary schools. We have Carmel opening next year. We'll have Pisgah opening the following year. So we're doing our very best to keep up with some very, very fast growth here in Clarksville. And we've also designed schools with a lot of people's input in mind. We brought teachers together, project teams together to make sure we put in these buildings economically what we need to make sure we have a quality learning environment. One of the things, though, we've got to pay very close attention to is as we grow, we can't ignore those schools that are existing. And oftentimes we only get about half of the money we ask for capital improvements, which often puts a strain on our budget. So we're going to have to pay very close attention and use our money very wisely as we keep these buildings up. They're a huge investment. We have so much invested into buildings that are even as old as 40, 50 years old or older. They're being used for schools today. And if we don't maintain them, it's going to cost us more in the future. Having the right technology for students is critical today because students are growing up in a world that's connected. And we have to make sure we have those tools and not be afraid to use them. So technology has been a great concern of us for several years. Our budget has been up and down. Some years we've had to cut as much as 90% of our technology budget out. This past year we were able to fund about half of our technology needs, which is a great improvement over the previous year. We can't get behind here. Our students are digitally connected. They know that this is the way to learn, and we've got to make sure that we connect them with the very best technology and the best teachers. That's a powerful combination. I don't think you can do one without the other. You've got to be able to use technology tools effectively, but you cannot replace excellent teachers alongside of that technology. It just doesn't work any other way. We have a lot of hard data that says our principals and teachers are working very hard. You don't get a graduation rate improving like ours is improving without intentional hard work and very deep implementation of quality programs. That happens at the school level. It does not happen at the federal level, the state level. It happens school by school, and the district can help guide that work. But the people on the ground, our principals and our teachers, are to be commended for really making a difference in students' lives every day. I think we can be very proud of our schools here in Clarksville, Montgomery County. We're doing some great things. We have a long way to go. There are many things we can do to improve our mission and our vision. We've got to continue to focus on how we get every child reaching their full potential. That job will never end. It continues on.